Welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, the impact of COVID-19 on your finances, but first, scams and more scams, as they say. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the fast-paced and unrehearsed weekly discussion featuring the leaders who help shape your world. Join us as we address the issues that impact you each and every day. This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Well, last week we had the horrific invasion of Congress. Hopefully we can come together as a nation and prevent such activities in the future. Next week, Governor Wolf has accepted our invitation to be the special guest on the program, and we've also invited in a subsequent show the Republican Speaker of the House, Brian Cutler. A lot going on in Newsmakers, but joining me now is Brian Roche. He's the anchor consumer investigator for WGAL TV News 8. I think I got that right? WGAL News 8.
Not at all.
Hey, Brian, you're the anchor and consumer investigator. It's something that you do day in and day out. And you have a number of scams that I know are important for the people to know so they don't get bilked out of their money. And so let's talk about online shipping scam. Take it.
Well, you don't need me to tell you that the world has changed dramatically in the last year. The pandemic that we're going through has changed consumers' buying habits. I saw one statistic that anywhere from 50 to 70% of an increase was seen in online shipping during the last year because We're not going out shopping. We're ordering everything online. And the scammers realize this. And so now they're engaging in a whole bunch of pandemic-related scams. And one of them is this shipping scam. As we're all expecting packages and shipments to come to our house, of course, we expected a lot more during the holidays. We're expecting groceries, clothing, things like that. They're sending out emails and text messages telling you that there's a problem with your package. And maybe you are expecting a package. Most of the time, you're not. But they're telling you there's a problem, and they want you to click on these links in these texts and emails. One particular one that I got, Terry, that I found very interesting, I got an email telling me that my shipment was on the way and that $5,000 had been charged to my Amazon account for a TV that I didn't order. So what the scammer's after there is they're trying to get me to click on something and say, I didn't order this thing, and I don't know what they're going to ask me for, my personal information, credit card, you name it. And these are the kind of scams that are perpetrating that are specifically pandemic related.
Right. But I'll tell you something. In my neighborhood, I can't drive by and see packages in the front doors. I mean, of all sizes, some of them huge, some of them small. But you're exactly right. And I mean, it's normal then to think, that, okay, I may have a package coming, right? Or, I mean, even if you didn't order it.
Well, during the holidays, I don't know how many we ordered in our house. My wife and I discussed it. Probably about 75% of the gifts that we gave to our friends and family were ordered online. So, yes, it's easy to lose track of what you may have ordered online, but then the scammers are hoping that you do that. But my best advice here is when you order something, make sure at that point you write down the tracking information they give you. Almost every legitimate company will give you that information. Write it down, set it aside, and don't be duped by any of these emails or text messages.
All right, you have another one, online account scam. Do I got that title right? Online account scam.
Well, sort of online. It's sort of related to what we were just talking about there. They're trying to make you believe that an account has been opened in your name to buy things. And they want you to click on the link, click on the email to stop the opening and the development of the particular account. And it's related to the shipping scam in ways, but again, goes back to the pandemic. They're trying to take advantage of our anxiety about what we're ordering, or maybe we didn't order it during this pandemic.
All right, we're going to run to a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about something that you have referred to as the brushing scam, and I'm not going to brush my hair. We'll be back with Brian Roche following these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania State Education Association and Partners for Public Education, bringing the power of a great education to our schools, our students, and our communities. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Please visit pahighwayinfo.org. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Well, I'm chatting with Brian Roche. He's the anchor consumer investigator at WGAL News 8. And we're talking about a variety of scams that Brian Roche has investigated in his job performance at the TV station. And there's something, Brian, you refer to as the brushing scam.
Yeah, this is an unusual scam, Terry. This is it's been around for about 2 years, but it really exploded during the pandemic year of 2020. So let me try to explain this. Some people call this a victimless crime, but I'm not so sure. What happens? Companies, most of the time overseas, they somehow get their hands on someone's personal information. And this scam that I'm describing, by the way, did happen to a coworker of mine. They get their hands on their personal information, such as their name, their address, their shipping address. And what they do is start sending them packages, items that they didn't solicit. It can range anywhere from a toothbrush all the way up to jewelry. And then what happens is the package is sent to the person, and then the company or someone related to the company goes online and posts a positive review as if that person had bought that particular item. Oh, this is a fantastic item. This is wonderful. I give it 5 stars. I highly rate it. I highly recommend it for you and all my friends. So the person receiving the package, by law, they get to keep it. There's no charge for them. But the company, most of the time they're shady companies. We traced about a half a dozen of them back to Asia. They're shady companies posting things on Amazon or online, and they're able to show these positive reviews from a verified buyer, and it makes their product look good. What happens in turn? Consumers see this. They say, oh, this product is good. Other people like it. I'm going to buy it. So again, some people think this is a victimless crime because if these are sent to me, again, I get to keep this stuff. And my coworker, she got about 15 items and she kept them all. She didn't have to send them back under federal law. So the brushing part is when the product brushes by the consumer, makes the company look good, and in the end, they make a lot of money.
Well, you got to wonder, I mean, the ideas that these scammers have seem endless to me. I mean, and you've been reporting these for some time. All right, there's another one called the computer tech scam.
This one's been around for a couple of years, but this, again, it really has highlighted during the pandemic. This is when scammers contact people and tell them a problem has been discovered with their computer. And most of the time, they're targeting older people, people who are not that familiar with how to run a computer. They're telling them that a problem or some kind of hardware or malware or virus has been discovered on their computer, and they can fix it. And they walk the victim through a series of steps on their keyboard. They get them to type in these various things. And the next thing you know, the hacker, the scammer, is inside their computer and doing things to it. And most of the time, what they're doing is putting in software, malware, viruses, and then they essentially hold the computer hostage saying, well, I fixed your computer. Now you need to pay me $200, $300, $500, $800 to do this, and I won't release your computer. So a lot of older folks who are not familiar with the way computers work, they may be more susceptible to this. Again, this scam has been around for a long, long time, probably at least 7 years or so. But what, again, makes it more dangerous during this time of the pandemic is that we are relying on our computers. I'm talking to you on my computer right now.
Oh, sure.
We're relying on these computers as a lifeline to buy things on the outside, have them shipped to our house, and also to get news and information from. So Our computer is a weapon that's in our hands that the hacker's already using.
What I do particularly is I take it to tech people to do it. You know what I mean? Get them on the phone.
Thing.
Yeah, I know who they are, and then they can help me, work out whatever problem exists. And the tech scams, it seems to, and I think you're exactly right, particularly with older people who may not be as familiar with how, the technology of a computer works. And as you also know, there's so much change that takes place in the technology, and computers need to have, folks who know what they're doing, reliable and safe, work on them. and sometimes it has to be done on the phone, right, in their home, correct?
It does. It does. But and on that note, here's one thing to keep in mind to protect yourself. If someone is calling you or emailing you totally unsolicited on your part, telling you they have found a problem, that's a scam, because no one can do that unless, as you're pointing out, you allow them to get into your computer.
Look, I want to thank you for coming on. This has been a great update. All right, coming up, the impact of COVID-19 on your personal finances, and we'll be back after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Cross-State Credit Union Association. Credit unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, go to ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Association of Pennsylvania State College and University Faculties, representing the faculty and coaches who are devoted to providing quality public higher education for Pennsylvania's college students.
Well, the impact of COVID-19 on your personal finances. Joining me to chat about it is Bob Flanyak. He's the CEO of the Chrome Federal Credit Union out in southwestern Pennsylvania. Well, Bob, I'll tell you, I mean, literally with the number of with the restaurants and bars and others closing now, Governor Wolf has lifted those restrictions and things can get partially back to where they were before the pandemic. But I'll tell you, it has had a huge effect on the personal finances of individuals. What has that effect been? Let's start with that fundamental question.
Well, Terry, thanks again for inviting me to come on the show. And I do want to say here at Chrome Federal Credit Union, we've been in business now 50 years. And from our meager beginnings as the credit union for the Washington Steel Corporation back in 1971, we've really focused on serving the financial needs of those hardworking middle-class people that live here in the southwestern PA area. And the pandemic and the financial effects on their personal finances has been very difficult for many, many people. So many of our 16,000 members, they work in manufacturing, they work in the service industries, and they've been hit very hard. And so it's been very difficult for them, and even our own employees, as we try to help to bridge them to the point where they'll be back at work, well, their income will be back to where it was, but it's been very difficult.
I'll tell you, you must have heard some horrific stories about the personal finances of individuals. That has to be heartbreaking.
Well, we hear it every day, Terry, every day, and but you know we've developed relationships with our members so that where we encourage them to talk to us, because we have the ability to do a lot of things to help them. And whether it's, we've had 1,000 loan payments for our members that we've either deferred or did interest only or just let them skip the payment. We've turned off fees, we've reduced fees, but that's what we're supposed to do. I mean, we are a credit union. And so not having stockholders to reward makes us in a better position to be able to respond to them.
Sure.
And that really helps them a lot. But we hear those stories every day. People don't have enough money for food. We had an example. We had an elderly lady came to one of our ATMs and she took out money and she got confused and she wound up throwing the money away that she had. And she came to us and she said, "Do you have the video to see? Maybe I dropped it." And we looked at the video, we didn't. And she told us that was her grocery money for the week. Oh my. And so, but the way that we operate here at Chrome is we're a very human focused organization.
Sure. So and this is part of what you would refer to as crisis assistance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And exactly. So what our employees did without asking. They just, when they got her a gift card from a local grocery store for $60, and that helped to bridge her. And so that's just a little example of how we try to help, but really it's discussion, it's communication, and people are afraid right now. They're worried about their credit score. They're worried about the rent. They're worried about food.
Sure.
Some very basic things, and we're in a position to try to help them.
I'll tell you, I've never seen so many people. We used to call them panhandlers, literally out on the street with buckets, asking for a donation. And in a couple cases, young folk, kids. I mean, it's amazing how, and it's heart-wrenching to see people living in those, standing around begging for money and then living on the streets in tents. I mean, it's beyond dreadful.
Well, it is. And so, what we've tried to do is go beyond the banking aspect. I mean, this is a very difficult time for people. And while their money is very important, sometimes they just need somebody to listen to them. And so, when they call us, in our call center, we don't have limitations on how long you talk to somebody. We have people they'll call us once a week. Just sometimes they just want to talk to somebody.
Yeah, we're going to run to a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the state of lending, and we can continue this discussion if you want about how heartbreaking it is for the folks who've been laid off or whose pay have been cut. It's brutal. All right, we'll be back after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Medical Society. Inspired physicians committed to the good health of Pennsylvanians and the advancement of the practice of medicine.
All right, the state of lending. Well, Bob, as you know better than probably anyone, lending is up. It's strong. People without resources are going to try to borrow the money, and that has its pros and its cons. Obviously, give us your advice?
Well, I would tell you that lending actually has been strong, surprisingly so. And I think that a lot of that has been driven by first mortgage refinances, and those individuals that are working are taking the opportunity to. They are actually buying cars, and they're doing improvements on their homes and things of that such. And so we do help those individuals, but there's also people that are challenged, and it's important that we as a credit union look beyond that credit score. And we see how has the relationship been with us? What are their special circumstances? So it's not where we're just putting people through an algorithm and it's a yes, no. This is a conversation. And we really do everything we can to say yes. And even if we can't say yes, we give them a route. We tell them how they could take certain steps to be in a better position when it comes to lending. So it's not a machine-driven activity. It really is a conversation.
Yeah, and I would imagine that in many of your offices, the folks who work for you, have listened to some horrific stories about the personal finances of people, and in attempting, should you borrow money? Is it something that you really need to do? Are you going to be able to pay it back? I mean, that has to create an incredibly complicated situation, I think, for both, the individuals who are coming in to get the loan and for you all who are providing the money.
Well, it really is. And so, part of the way we handle and work with our members is we have all of our team members that are certified financial counselors. So they have a certain level of knowledge to be able to talk to people about more than just that car loan payment. And many times when we're talking to people, we can find ways to save them money. I mean, it literally happens every day where someone will be asking us about their payment. We'll take a look at their entire financial picture and we'll save them $200 a month. I mean, last week we saved this individual over $1,100 a month just by restructuring his debt, moving some of those high balanced loans that he had with other financial institutions over to Chrome. And these people literally cry. They are so happy that we are there for them, showing them the way. We are the experts. This is our moral responsibility to help them find a way out and help them to find a better life. So we're very proud of that mission. It really is an important part of our purpose. It's not just about banking and counting money. It's about making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, I would think. Now, looking ahead, do you, in your prognostications, is this lending going to remain strong? It's obviously related to the health of the economy, correct?
Oh, it sure is, Terry. And the vaccine really is going to play a major part in our economic recovery. And we think that, come the third quarter, we're going to start to see some normalization. But once again, that is contingent on the supply of this vaccine and people's willingness to get it. And so we're hopeful. We do know that in the short term, it's going to be challenging. And we're going to take the time to work with our members and hold their hands when their hands need to be held and show them the way to the light at the end of the tunnel, because there is. And they need to have a positive influence, because all they hear is negative, negative, negative.
Sure.
We really need to try to refocus them on the future and what's going to happen, and things will get better.
Sure. Well, one of the trends that you've identified have to do with doing your financing and your personal finances remotely. How is that working? I mean, it's one thing to be able to go in and speak to somebody and to get some advice about what to do with whatever situation is in front of a consumer, but when you're doing it all remotely, how is that different? Has that created special problems?
Well, it definitely has, Terry. We have so many of our members that regularly do digital banking, whether it's on our new mobile app or on our online banking platform. But there are so many of our members that they don't know how to do online banking. They're not computer literate. So when we talk to them, we're actually taking the time. We share screens through technology and we hold their hand. In fact, a lot of times we'll have appointments with them after hours just to set them up in online banking, show them how to download the mobile app. Sometimes they come in with their phone and they say, what do I do with this? Yeah. And we take them to the side and we show them how to use their new phone. We show them how to take a picture of their check. And it's like it's this huge epiphany for them.
Hey, thanks for the great update. Welcome to anytime. You're welcome anytime. All right, we'll see you next week for another edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers. And as always, stay well.